important. So don't forget second, okay? Path to success is that you have to have a plan. You have to have a plan. And in this sense, you have to get an education. How many people here know who Abraham Lincoln is? All right? Abraham Lincoln, 16th president of the United States, arguably one of the most successful presidents. He freed the slaves, and he also won the Civil War. What did he say about education? He said that, I don't know that there is a more important activity that one person can engage in other than education. Do you guys know the story of Abraham Lincoln? Abraham Lincoln was born in a log cabin in Kentucky. His parents were uneducated. He himself only had 1 year of education. His parents made him work. That's what you did in the forest in Kentucky. But he knew that education was so important, so he himself became educated. He was self-educated. He wanted to become a lawyer. So he bought law books and read law books, took the exam and became a lawyer on his own. All right? And then you know, after several years of hard work, he became president. Mind you, somebody who was born in a log cabin becoming president of the United States. Education is the way that you can become great. Education can open doors. You know, like I said, many of us come from immigrant families. You know, our families are not very rich. They don't have all these connections that will open doors for us. But education, if you take stock in your education, you focus on your goals, you can become great. All right? You know, you can become, the next president of the United States. What Barack Obama has shown, right? And so education is very, very important. Once you've understood that you need an education, now, how do you actually get to your goal? That's where planning becomes extremely important. Many of you mentioned that you want to become engineers in the clean tech industry. I noticed some people said they want to become physicians. Some people mentioned that they want to become lawyers, architects. How do you become an architect? If you don't have a person in your family who's an architect, ask around. Find an architect. Find someone to mentor you. All right? Find a role that you would like to one day become, then find somebody who currently serves in that role, and then ask them specifically, what did you do to get here? What sorts of tips, what sorts of tools could you give me in order to actually reach the same level that you have? Mentorship is extremely important. Many of you have mentioned that you want to become physicians. Here, I'm a mentor for you. I can tell you exactly what you need to do. For those of you who want to go into law school, want to become lawyers, find a lawyer and ask them specifically, how did you get to law school? And they will give you advice. Mentors love to pass on this wisdom that we've learned. Don't make the same mistakes that we have. We want you all to become successful. So mentorship is extremely important. And then finally, on a day-to-day basis, how do you plan out your success? One of the things that was very, very instrumental for me in college, because I wanted to go to medical school, I had to do very well, was what we call to-do lists. Every day I had, 5 classes to go to, and there were so many different activities that had to be done. I had to do my homework, I had to study for this test, I had to go to this review session. So every day after class, I would plan a to-do list. I have, 10 hours left in the day, what am I going to do? And I would actually plan out my success, because I knew at the outset what I would need in order to become successful. And so I would actually plan that out, okay? It's very important to actually plan these things out so that you don't get sidetracked. There's so many distractions out there. Friends want to go here and there. There's the television, the video games that you can get distracted with. But if you actually write out what is it going to take for me to become successful on this day, on a day-to-day basis, you will reach those goals, okay? Quick question. I wanted to start to talk about preparation. That's the next path to success. Let me see a show of hands for those of you who are currently in school. When you walk into class, how many people walk into class, sit in their chair, and don't know what the teacher is going to talk about? It's a surprise. Let's be honest. Good, some people are being honest, You're absolutely right. Very good, yes, round of applause for honesty. This is very important. We are all guilty of this. This is what most students do. You walk into class, you know you're going to be in history class, but what are they going to talk about today? What's the lesson going to be on today? We know we're going to go to math, but what mathematical operator are they going to talk about today? All right? What I want you to start to do, if you want to be successful, is to prepare. How do you prepare for a class? Know ahead of time what the teacher is going to be talking about, and then, newsflash, read that assignment ahead of time. Most students go to class, listen to what the teacher has to say. Sometimes they get it, sometimes they don't. Then maybe if they're diligent after class, they'll go ahead and read the assignment. All right? If you want to be successful, you need to get any sort of edge that you can get. You need to prepare as much as you possibly can. And reading ahead of the class is something that most students do not do. And if you do this today, you will become more successful. I guarantee you. Most classes these days, they tend to be kind of graded on a curve, so you're kind of compared against your other classmates. And if you are preparing in this fashion, you will be doing better than your classmates. That is a direct link to success. All right? Students always ask me, how much should I study? How many hours a day should I study in order to be successful? And I tell them, well, you're actually thinking about it a little wrong. It's not how many hours a day should you study. It's what should you be trying to do? What is your goal? And if you want to become successful, your goal is not necessarily just to learn the material. It's not just to learn geometry. It's not just to learn the Civil War, but it's to master that topic. So that when the teacher actually quizzes you on it, you absolutely know the answer right away. So the question is, how do you reach mastery level? So the goal, the actual way to reach mastery level, is to cover something 3 times. Once you cover something 3 times, you eventually lead to a mastery level. All right? And so how does that work? Well, if you prepared ahead of the class, you read the section ahead of class, you actually go to class, you listen to the teacher, you start to kind of see things that you read in the text that make sense, and things that didn't make sense in the text now are more clear after the teacher's mentioned it. You start to hear what the teacher actually says. Turns out, the teacher doesn't cover everything that's in the book. They don't cover everything in the inside reading. What do they cover? What do the teachers cover in class? The stuff that's important, right? And what is important? Where is it going to show up again? It's going to show up on the test, okay? Then after you've heard the teacher, you go back to that section, highlight those areas that the teacher covered that you've already seen before, and then finally, one more time to reach mastery level before the test, review that information one more time. That is how you reach mastery level. That is how you actually reach success on all of these exams. In high school, junior high school, but most importantly in college, where all of your tests are graded on a curve. You really want to do as much as you possibly can to ensure your level of success. And that is how you do that. And then along these same lines, preparation with respect to the overall class is very important. You make sure that you get all of the assigned books that you need ahead of time. Make sure that you get all of the assigned, other portfolios, notebooks, rulers, etc. Make sure you get all of these materials ahead of time. Prepare as much as you possibly can so that you're ready to hit the ground running. You don't want to start, 2 feet behind. You want to start, if you can, with a head start. Okay?